Aren't we lucky right now to have so many talented young English players coming through that we enjoy watching, we enjoy listening to them as well. And you get the sense, Alex, that they are watching each other very, very closely.
What great, healthy competition. I think every single one of them is seeing one of them perform better and looking inward to themselves and thinking, well, he's doing it. I need to step up my game. How am I going to do that? It's what you do when no one's looking that counts. So the extra training, the looking, analysing your own game to push yourself on to that next level. But I like it. It's healthy competition within each other. I like that.
Was that always the case, Jamie, do you think? These young men taking their games, their professions so seriously?
Yeah, I think so. I certainly remember as a player competing against other players. Even if you played against Man United, you knew you were up against the likes of Scholes and David Beckham. I've got to be on it today. I've got to play better than them. If you had a good day, the next day the papers would be full of it. You know, you should be in the England squad or whatever. And I'm sure they'll be the same today. Whoever comes out on top in that little battle. I'm thinking back to a couple of weeks ago when Maddison played against Mount. And Maddison was a better player, scored. We're all talking about him afterwards. And that's what you need. And it's interesting when I listened to James Maddison there because I'm sure you guys were the same. I remember certain times in my career when I was playing really well, you don't get any mentions. No one really talks about you. Then you'd nick a bit of a scruffy goal, perhaps not play as well, and everyone says, look at him, he's in the form of his life. And I'm like, well, I'm not really. But sometimes you've got to be a bit greedy. You've got to look after yourself. And I think that's what James Maddison's analysed. Got to get numbers, you've got to score goals because people then start to talk about you. Because out of all the players in that group to get in the England squad, he's the one that's the most under pressure. He's not saying he hasn't got the talent, but because of the others, Grealish and Mount have made it, and Foden have just made those steps playing for England that he hasn't quite yet. But I'm a big fan of James Maddison.
We've got some numbers to show you, and I think you're right on James Maddison. He's probably on the outside looking in a little bit, isn't it? He's played 34 minutes for his country, and since he last played for England, Mason Mount, for example, has won 8 caps. How do you evaluate all this then, Micah, with Foden and Mason Mount? Those other 2 players that they actually threw into the mix there, that wasn't, we didn't say compare yourselves with those 2. They're very much conscious of this competition.
It's tough, isn't it? Because Foden arguably got the hardest job getting into Manchester City's team. Jack Grealish did it when they nearly got relegated last year. Maddison's playing with top players every week, and so is Mason Mount as well. So they've all got different attributes. Myself, would personally take them all. And because if you leave one of them players out, come the Euros, like no matter who you leave out, there's going to be uproar anyway, because look at this talent here. It's incredible. And Mount can play a little bit deeper as well. And Jack Grealish can play a little bit deeper as well. So I would take them all.
All on Micah's fun bus.
Yeah.
Me and Roy's fun bus.
You're taking Jack for the night out. I think that if Gareth Southgate now was naming his starting team and he played a back 4, I think the only one that starts right now will be Mason Mount, the way that he plays. Because I think you'll go Rashford, Kane and Sterling as front 3. And he looks like he wants to go with Rice and Henderson as a 2. And the one ahead will be Mason Mount. And you make a good point where I think if I'm James Maddison, the best chance that he's got is if Gareth and Mason Mount's played in a slightly deeper position of late, that might be the way that you get an extra midfield player in there. Because if you play with a Mount and a Rice or Henderson, whatever way he wants to go, and play with 2, one more slightly attacking in that position. But it feels, when I look at this guy, and you're saying you're not going to pick him in your best 23, it feels really unfair because he is so talented, but it shows the abundance of quality we have.
I think the only things and question marks which Gareth Southgate may be having over Maddison is when you look at Harry Kane and how he's been playing this season and really dropping off that front line and dropping into spaces that Maddison actually loves to occupy.
No, I agree. I mean, let's don't beat around the bush. He didn't fancy Jack Grealish at all, Gareth Southgate. He was doing everything in his power not to play him. Played him against Belgium, and he just ripped it up and made us all fall in love with watching England. I don't want Gareth Southgate this summer to go there and be safe. I want him to take risk. I want him to play the likes of Jack Grealish. I want him to get players in the team. I don't want us to be... We've done that beyond too many World Cups, too many European Championships. I think this guy's...
Do you think, Alex, having watched him, I know you watched him a lot with us through the autumn in those Nations League matches, do you not think that he's changed Gareth Southgate's opinion on him completely?
Absolutely, and that's what you need to do. You need to, when we're talking about playing for England, I remember my manager always used to saying, you need to make sure you're performing for club first before you even talk about that, and that is exactly what he's done. He is the go-to player for Aston Villa. When he gets on the ball and drives at players, that's what you want when you're watching England, to make the opposition scared. And actually what he's going through at the moment and what he talks about is teams are now doubling up on him. So yes, for England, if someone doubles up on him, it's freeing other players as well.
Why do we have to be so defensive, though? Well, that's what you talk about, playing with two holders. Why can't it be Rice or Henderson and put a more technical player? You see them clips there it's shown. All the players receive the ball on the half.
Play Mount deeper.
Yeah, just play Mount. Yeah, play Mount deeper.
Don't all the top teams do that, though, Micah?
Not necessarily. No, I think we're so blessed with talent that we've not seen for years in terms of taking the ball on the half term, technical ability. For one of these players to miss out, to have a more defensive player in there, it doesn't sit right with me. And I know you can't take them out. Everyone will say, well, where do you fit them all in? I'm not saying the all should start, but the all should be in the 23.
I've got to be honest, it is hard. I've spent lots of my mates, we all say, what's your England team right now? What's your England squad?
Because you've got to leave some out.
Just leave some really good players.
Well, let's have a look at this list of talent that is emerging in the last season or so, and we've left out Kane, Rashford and Sterling as the three strikers that I think we came to some common ground on, that they were probably the first three for Gareth Southgate. Who would you throw into that mix then from the ones that perhaps we haven't talked about?
I know you're not going to laugh at me with my Arsenal connection.
We're not going to laugh at you.
But I'm going to throw in Saka.
Oh, stop.
Because when you look at it, when you're trying to free up spaces, because normally when you're picking a World Cup squad or Euros, it's two for every position. So then you start to look at players that actually, well, he can play maybe in three positions. Saka, more in attacking. He can play left back. He can play left wing back.
Yeah.
OK, that allows me not to take another defensive player. And that's where you can start to try and fit people in. And as well, he's a good player.
I'm throwing in Bamford. I've got to throw in Bamford. I think he's been exceptional. Different, left-footed, can drop deep, score goals, playing in a team that's just come up from the Championship.
So you take him, for example, ahead of Ollie Watkins?
It's difficult. It's
difficult.
Or Dominic Calvert-Lewin?
I just think Bamford offers something a little bit different. You know, it's just the way playing against the way you watch him, the way he moves, the way he makes runs, the way he can come. He plays lovely balls as well. I don't know if I'd take him ahead of Watkins, but I'm just throwing him in there because I think he's been
well, look at
a
Harvey
revelation.
Barnes' stats there. I don't mean go back to that graphic quickly, guys. I mean, Harvey Barnes' stats, you'd be thinking the season that he's had, 12 goals, 3 assists. I mean, you'd like his assists maybe to just go up, but he'll be thinking, if I can have a real push now. Today, this is one of those days, have a big performance, get everyone talking about you. Mason Greenwood is a player that, I listened to Gary Neville the other day, and I have to agree, he's got all the talent in the world. But right now, 4 goals, 4 assists, isn't at a level of some of the other ones at the top of that list there. And he'll be up against pretty much a straight fight with Jadon Sancho in one of those positions. There's a bit of a, I wouldn't say wild card, because Jadon's played a lot more and he's been in and around the England squads. Dortmund's form doesn't necessarily help him, but he's playing with Erling Haaland there, and he's the one that you feel, because we don't watch enough of him on Sky and see enough of the German football right now, he needs to do it in the next couple of the upcoming England games. But in terms of talent and ability, Sancho's got it all.
I think it's going to depend as well, the later stages of the Champions League. If someone's still playing and they're in form, they can't be overlooked. So the likes of Grealish might be overlooked by Mount, or it is difficult. But I think the longer it goes on, it'll become more clear.
Do you think after the Belgium game that Jack Grealish has cemented a place in at least the squad now?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely think he's going to be in there, 100%. You can't ignore that.
No, I agree.
You can't ignore that.